Hello and welcome. This is Business Time, a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. And my name is William Kumwembe. In the program today, we look at the 2023-2024 national budget presented by Finance Minister Kumwembe to Parliament on Thursday, and we dissect the allocations made in the national budget. And also in the program, Malawi's development partners asks the government to consider sticking to reforms if it is to work the economy out towards recovery. That's inside Business Time. Hello and welcome. This is Business Time, and my name is William Kumwembe. In our main story in the program today, Finance Minister Kumwembe on Thursday presented to Parliament the 2023-2024 national budget pegged at 3.87 trillion kwacha. Fourth under the Tonse Alliance administration, the financial plan has already been rated by the media as populist, focusing on financing consumption. For instance, the development aspect of the budget has been allocated a mere 896.2 billion kwacha, which is below the 1.3 trillion kwacha deficit of the budget. Now, in this report, we dissect the 2023-2024 national budget to see who has won and who has lost in as far as allocations are concerned.
The estimates on the recurrent and development accounts for the 2023-2024 budget of the Malawi government be referred to the Committee of the Whole House to be considered vote by vote.
Kumwembe presents to Parliament the 2023-2024 national budget Thursday afternoon. Fourth under the Tonse Alliance-led government, the financial plan is not devoid of surprises of some kind. For instance, Chiefs Honoraria has been doubled, and senior chiefs will now have the privilege of importing cars duty-free.
Under the development budget for local councils, the following are some of the key allocations. Constituency Development Fund with an allocation of 19.3 billion. Two, the durarization of Chireka Blantyre Road with an allocation of 1 billion. The construction of city roads with an allocation of 18.6 billion. The District Development Fund with an allocation of 4.7 billion. The construction of water structures with an allocation of 2.3 billion. Infrastructure Development Fund with an allocation of 810 million. And rehabilitation of district hospitals with an allocation of 13.6 billion.
But wait a minute. The national budget, already rated by the media as populist, is pegged at a whopping 3.87 trillion kwacha. Yes, you got it right. 3.87 trillion kwacha, almost a quarter of the national gross domestic product. In other words, about 25.5% of all that we are able to produce as a country put together, and that's what forms the budget. Ironically, a larger chunk of it all, about 2.8 trillion kwacha, goes into consumption. Only 23.1% of the budget, about 896.1 billion, is development budget, an amount which is lower than the 1.3 trillion kwacha total budget deficit. Obviously, the obligation to fund the deficit is pushed to the future generation, but without them giving a nod. How? That's the question. The government intends again to borrow about 1.19 trillion kwacha domestically and 288.7 billion kwacha from foreign sources. Our sons and daughters will settle this debt plus interests. Now, let's look at who has gotten what in the budget and at what expense. For starters, and as expected, about 30% of the recurrent budget goes to wages and salaries. That is 897 billion kwacha, or 32.2% of the total expenditure. In this, there is an 8% increase for civil servant salaries, as well as a 39.1 billion kwacha set aside to cater for civil servants' transport allowances. The education sector has gotten the lion's share, followed by agriculture, health, transport, and energy and tourism. Other productive sectors of the economy like mining seems again and unfortunately so to be given less attention, while consumptive programs like the infamous AIP gets a whooping 117 billion kwacha. Now, putting the figures together, one would conclude that the budget is an attempt of a delicate balance. Treasury is seriously thriving to keep the wheels of the economy, which is volatile, of course, running around by exploring other resources of revenue generation without necessarily overburdening the poorest of the poor Malawians. But what do others say about the budget?
We are looking at this budget as a lost opportunity for a nation to increase its wealth.
So at 8.8%, the likely outturn may be higher than the programmed deficit. So that is a worrisome area. Another area that probably may need to be looked at is the resources which are going to current expenditure. At more than 70%.
One of the key objectives of a national budget is surely to propel economic growth and development towards long-term aspirations. In this case, the middle income status, at least by 2030. Would the 2023-2024 national budget do just that? Let us give it at least 12 months. Now, some of the country's development partners has urged the government to stick to reforms that it agreed with the International Monetary Fund as a stride towards attaining the recovery mark of the economy. This comes as the Malawi economy remained volatile for a greater part of the past 5 years, emanating from domestic and other external shocks. Lately, the country has been susceptible to imported inflation. As if that is not enough, COVID-19 pandemic and the war in Ukraine has also largely affected operations domestically, as Malawi remains a net importer. Now, the question is, what needs to be done if Malawi is to stay the course? This is a question our journalist Kumwembe Mangazi attempts in this report.
Iceland head of mission in Malawi, Inga Dora Petsudotia, said support funds will go through the Matidona Trust Fund operated by the World Bank. She says for the local economy to heal, Malawi must go through some difficult financial reforms.
Certainly. My government is preoccupied with assisting the Malawian government and partners in agricultural development. We think that is key. We know that the government also appreciates this. Many people know that there is a need for agricultural diversification and make it more efficient. Unfortunately, this year it has been a challenge. We know that many inputs have been more costly, and this affects everyone, including also the people in Norway. So we are ready here to help. This is a short-term acute situation, but we are also here in the long run as of the government of Norway to assist. As of now, we will look into various modules of contribution. We work primarily through the education and the health sector, where we also assist the government in funding those very important sectors. But we will also be funding the agricultural sector, and we will look into different modalities. Maybe later in the year we can foresee we could work with World Bank programs, for instance.
Norway Ambassador to Malawi, Ingrid Marie Michelson, says they are looking into various modules of contribution to the national budget.
Yeah, so that's what our funding that went through the World Bank, through this multi-donor trust fund, goes through the Reserve Bank to the government. So my country, Iceland, went through financial crisis in 2010, where all our banking systems collapsed. So we had to work with the IMF, and we had to do financial reforms, and it was very difficult for 2 years. We had to cut down all services, and there was really financial issues. But we were, as a nation, we were sticking to the reform, and after 2 years, things really improved. And now we are here in Malawi providing financial assistance. So my advice would be to show the resilience that Malawi is so good at, endure the time that it takes to go through this in order to wait for better times.
Recently, the World Bank committed $50 million and $100 million towards the cholera fight and some recruitment expenditures in the health sector.
Remember, this is Business Time, a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. And my name is William Kumwembe. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Business Time, a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. And moving on with the program, there are fears that construction of the rail line between Maka and Bangula in Nsanje district may take longer than anticipated following delayed commencement of the project. Upon visiting the starting point of the project, Business Time established that only 12 kilometers of the 72-kilometer stretch has been cleared in the 2 months the contractor has been on the ground. Chimwemwe Mangazi reports.
This is Maraka in Nsanje, where Malawi borders Mozambique in the southern part. The rail line that you see before me is one that was constructed by the Mozambican government, and 400 kilometers on the other end of this rail line is Beira Port, where most of the strategic commodities, most of the strategic goods that Malawi uses come through that port. There was anticipation that a rail line would be constructed by the Malawi government from this end, 72 kilometers into Malawi to Bangula Township. And that contract was given to a Chinese company, CR20, and was given the mandate to complete this project within 18 months from May 2022. 10 months down the line, what has happened? We are here to find out. According to the contractor CR20, preparation of an environmental assessment report is what has delayed commencement of the construction works. CR20 project manager Kuo says it is possible to complete the works on time only if the government commits more resources to increase the machinery and the workforce.
We have lost a lot of time, but we know the situation, so we will including more equipment and more manpower to fix this. But we admit that this is a challenge for us to complete the construction of the whole railway by the end of this year. But we will communicate with the employer and we will do our best. Like I said before, we will increase the equipment and manpower to try to finish the work as early as possible. But we will also going to communicate with the employer, let them know that we have these difficulties.
Kuo added that the project is likely going to be concluded next year.
这个需要跟业主确认，我们也不敢确定这个时间，主要是根据雇主的需求嘛，对吧？我们定不了这个时间。
All right, we can't give you an accurate time because if we want to finish the project at the end of 2023, we need to increase the manpower and equipment, right? So it depends. If we want to finish it at the end of this year, we will increase more, maybe 2 times or 3 times than we planned. So we can finish the project by the end of the year. But if after our communication with the employer, they finally make a decision that the time will be changed or will be postponed, then we don't have to increase too much manpower or equipment. So the finish time depends on the employer's requirement.
Officials from the Ministry of Transport took more time before they could comment on the development. Visiting Maraka in Nsanje, one would get the impression that nothing or little has been done in as far as construction of this rail line from Maraka to Bangula is concerned. It is important to ensure that such projects are concluded on time to prevent wasting the Miaga public resources on expensive transportation modes.
Now, in other business news, Polymed Circle has posted a jump in its profit for the year ended December 31st, 2022 from about 62.5 million kwacha it posted in 2021 to about 132.9 million kwacha. This came out on Saturday when the firm hosted its annual general meeting in Blantyre. Our journalist Obedi Mkangama caught up with Mere Bokosi Masona, who is the executive director for Polymed Circle.
Our biggest success has been our achievements in the terms of surplus. As you have heard from the AGM, last year we made a surplus of 62 million, and this year we have made a surplus of more than 100%, up to 133 million. So for us, that is a very, very big achievement, because we have managed to give back to our members more than 100% of what we gave them last year. So this is a very big achievement. And the other one is the growth in our membership. We have grown our membership with 33%, and we have also grown our asset base with 38%. So these are the big achievements for us. And as you know, the business of Circle is a game of numbers. The more you have, the more people you have, the more the things start growing. So that is our main achievement for this year. Yeah, of course we are going through a lot of economic hardships, but sometimes in life, if the world gives you lemon, you have to make lemonade. You cannot just sit that this lemon is so bitter, what and what. You need to make use of the lemon. So that was the strategy we used. We knew that economically things are not moving. We knew that we had inflation challenges. There was this COVID whereby we are still experiencing the effects of the COVID era that we had 2 years ago. But for us, we said, as a Circle, are we going to just sit down? Are we going to let down our members? We said no. So we went back to the drawing table. And what did we do? We said, for us to grow, let's come up with products that are going to help our members. So we changed our product portfolio, whereby all the loans that had a shorter period of time, we extended them to make them to have a longer period, so that we should have chance for our members to get the loans. We also introduced loans with a low interest rate as a way of supporting our members. On top of that, we said we need to grow, because the members we have, they have already exhausted the loans. Why can't we get more new members? So we enhanced that our marketing team should be so strong. So we invested in our marketing team, whereby we had to go out and find new members. And the new members we found, they have been taking loans. And the business of Circle, it's all about loans. You give loan, you get interest. So the more loans you give, the more interest you get. So because we embraced this culture of going out and meeting more people and bringing more people to come to our Circle, that was our main achievement. And on top of that, teamwork. At our Circle, everyone knows what he's supposed to do. If we say this year we are bringing 1,000 members, everyone knows that we are bringing 1,000 members. Starting from the guard, the office assistant, the cashier, everyone takes part in making sure that these members we are bringing. So the goals that we set for our organization, for our Circle, they are not only for the manager or the board of directors. All the goals that we set, all the targets, we share to everybody, and everyone knows on a daily basis that this is what I'm supposed to go to do for our Circle to grow. So togetherness and teamwork, they have also contributed a lot for us to have this achievement we have today.